Section 8, Unit Testing. Testing is often something of an afterthought for programmers, because it tends to be laborious and annoying. Also, we usually have a high degree of confidence in our work, and testing it seems unnecessary. It's also a fact, though, that confidence is often misplaced. Source code is a complex and subtle language, and it's easy to make mistakes while writing it and not even notice. We all know this from experience. That doesn't make it any easier to make time for something that is laborious, annoying, and feels unnecessary. 8.1. Understanding the principles of unit testing. We're going to take a look at how unit testing can help us write better code in less time, the basic principles that allow that to happen, and what good tests can tell us about our code. So the first question of testing is, how can we do it in a way that doesn't feel like a painful waste of time? Finding a way to overcome that psychological barrier is the first step to creating a testing method that will actually work. For a lot of programmers, unit testing does that, by reducing the effort needed to run tests, integrating testing with the development process, and making the tests themselves visibly useful. A unit test is a single small chunk of text code that tests for correct behavior or a single specific flaw within an isolated small chunk of program code. There are reasons for each part of that definition. A unit test is source code because one of the secrets of unit testing is that we put as much effort of the testing as possible on the computer, where it belongs. The test code tells the computer how to perform the test, which allows us to perform the test often and easily. A unit test is small because a large test is almost inevitably testing more than one thing. If we want to test for more than one thing, we should write more than one test. A unit test only checks a single aspect of the program code, because when a test fails, we want it to tell us exactly what the problem is. A unit test only involves a narrow region of the program code, because when a test fails, we want it to tell us exactly where the problem is. If we write a collection of tests that follow these rules, they are a unit test suite. With the proper tools, we can run our whole test suite with a single command, and the output of that command will immediately tell us the status of our source code with respect to the tests. If a test fails, it tells us what we need to work on next. If it succeeds, it gives us a reason for our confidence in the code it tested. The availability of automated unit testing leads to a programming paradigm called test-driven development. The basic idea of test-driven development is that, since a failing test tells us what we need to do next, we should never write program code except to make a failing test pass. If all of the presently available tests pass and the program isn't finished, we add another test to the test suite, and then write program code to make it pass. Doing things this way ensures that there are tests covering most or all of the code, and that the tests are run often, which makes it very difficult for bugs and regressions to sneak into the code without being noticed. It also lets us break the development process down into a series of short-term goals, which produce visible result when we achieve them. This is psychologically useful because it makes the programming process feel more rewarding, and it's much easier to perform a task that feels rewarding. Further, debugging tends to dominate the time needed for our project, and test-driven development reduces the time needed to deal with bugs. So, applied properly, unit testing principles and tools help us produce better code, do it faster, and enjoy the process more. It's an all-around win. Unit tests pinpoint problems, highlight solutions, and help us decide what to work on next. A good unit test tests for a specific problem in a specific block of code. Running unit tests is easy, so we should do it often. Python includes a framework for automated unit testing, and we'll take a look at that in the next video.